fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my god!
Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
It all comes down to the final couple rounds of a championship. These drop rounds become so vital. We head back to the streets, the same streets we were at just a couple of hours ago, because we are here once again at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. You thought we were done here? Oh no, you're absolutely wrong. Monday night, V8, head to this magical Montreal circuit on the iRacing Esports Network, brought to you by SimSpeed TV. James Scott and Harley Haber, these two have been fighting incredibly hard all season long, but this is qualifying at the moment. They've got 2 laps. They've got 8 minutes to get a lap time together, and currently it's the number 2 machine on top at the moment, and it is Kazuki Umeshima who has the quickest time of them all at the moment, and that will be really good news for him as he looks to bring in the times. It's Jake Sperry here, along with Jake Burton, 2 Jakes in the commentary box, joined with Jay Kennedy on cameras for this one. Mr. Burton, this has been an interesting qualifying so far. Umeshima is 4/10 clear of the field as Harley Haber moves up to second.
Yeah, good evening, Sperry. I think a big thing about Montreal is our second lap is always much faster. So I think now we're going to start seeing the numbers come through. 34.7 from James Scott. That's not the kind of number he'll be looking for, as he's immediately eclipsed by Jared Filsell going to the top on a 34.6 as well. To be curious to see what guys like Harley and Kazuki can do with their second lap.
Well, Harley's second lap has already come and gone, and Kazuki cannot go quicker, so Filsell fastest by 1/100th of a second. Good lap time comes in. The likes of Wayne Burke up there in 5th position now. Bo Cattell up to 6th. Kurt Stenberg, they're up into 7th position. Some good times coming across the board. Adam Briggs going to make a run for it. It's only 19 laps here today. It's a sprint race. Adam Briggs moving up to 11th position. The likes of Jordan Caruso there in 9th. Dom Ferraris rounding out the top 10. Yuanji Lin going up 26th, having not set a time. 3 drivers so far yet to set a time. Scott O'Keefe, Damian Johnstone, and Scotty McQueen out on track. It's a big grid here today, though, here, Burton. It is 29 drivers, so that's going to mean you're going to have to be pretty alert straight away to what's going to happen around you.
Yeah, that's it. We're going to want to probably focus on the battle between James Scott and Harley Haber. Obviously, there's about 80 points-ish in the championship fight, which at this point in the season is a pretty big margin, as they both had 8 weeks counted, 74 points rather, to be exact. The interesting thing for James Scott tonight is most of this season, if he's managed to qualify well, he has been able to sort of drive away from Harley. But this is one of those tracks that's really, really hard to follow through, especially with these chicanes and stuff like that, where you can get slowed down so easily. And this week we've seen Jared Filsell and Kazuki Umeshima show up, so he's not going to have the clear-cut run that he might have had in earlier rounds. He's still going to have to follow cars, even if he's in front of Harley.
And well, Harley also knows that his tyres have been a big issue with the way that he's been running in the car at Mark 1. We saw that in Scops last night compared to James Scott. Wayne Sanderson will not go any quicker, but Yuan Jilin is going to be able to get a second lap in. He'll be the last driver to set a representative flying lap through the final chicane, really close to the wall of champions on the right-hand side. So we'll see if this one is going to be any quicker than a 37.7 at the moment. And the answer is a 38.1. So that definitely will not be quicker at all. So this is now going to be how the grid is going to stack up for all these drivers at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It will be Jared Filsell on pole position, 134.621. He's there by 100th over Kazuki Umeshima in second position. James Scott will go from third with Harley Haber in fourth place. Wayne Burke starts from fifth with Michael Taliancic in sixth, Bo Cattell and Kurt Stenberg on the fourth row. Row 5 sees Jordan Caruso and Dominic Ferraris.
Yeah, and as we head over the page, we've got quite a lot of our usual mid-pack suspects. Adam Briggs on P11, he'll be looking to move forward a bit. Sean Thompson, P12. Zach Hanlon, guy who we've seen come through the field quite hard a lot this season in P13. Andrew Dyson, P14. Thomas Hinds, P15. Steve Jansen and Christian Smart, 16th and 17th, with Guy Leach, Kenneth Latter, and Brad Newman rounding out the top 20.
Thomas McMillan starts from 21st, Wayne Sanderson in 22nd. This is followed by Jamie McKnight in 23rd, then Greg Sharp. Paul Mansell and Yuanji Lin are the final setters of lap times. 3 drivers who didn't, Damian Johnstone, Scotty McQueen, and Scott O'Keefe. They will be ordered by iRacing, which means Johnstone in the number 8 car will be above McQueen in the 16 and Scott O'Keefe in the number 29 machine. So, getting up to the gridding process, 2 minutes. So you start from that place known as pit road. And of course, on a very short sprint race, you do not want to be starting any further back than you need to. Watch out for turns 1 and 2. We saw big dramas over a couple of races yesterday. They'll be looking for some... Hey, Scott has got to be the one maybe more worried. Good action here today. How he runs this one. He's got to be pretty alert to everyone in and around him, knowing he's got Jared Filsell, a former teammate in front. Kazuki Umeshima, who is what would be called a Montreal specialist in front of him as well, has been successful at Montreal many, many times. Very nearly got an iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series victory. It's the most well-known thing about Umeshima. He hit the wall of champions and did not quite get it, the victory in that end, going to the legendary Gregor Hutu. But now you start wondering here, what do you have available underneath you? Can you prove to everyone that the championship's going to work for you? Here's a green flag, and James Scott has got an absolute stormer off of the line here, and Filsell's going to have to try and defend this one. They're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. Scott looking down the inside, contact with Umeshima and Filsell. Both of them are going to have to go straight on. Haber's going to have to go. Scott spins it though, and into Haber. Both title rivals are around in the first 2 corners. You cannot write it here, and there's more issues as they hit. That is Damian Johnstone, a big issue off the line.
Yeah, that was very, very ugly. It sort of started with that 3 wide run into turn 1. I think it was just 3 into 1 didn't go. Jared Filsell was forced out.
And the track is almost blocked as there was a big slide going through in the middle of the pack. That was, I believe, not quite McMillan, but Dom Ferraris and co going around through. So Ferraris got himself a bit sideways. All of a sudden, it is going to be Filsell leading, Burke in second at the moment as they go on through. Taliancic up to third at the moment. They all file in through the 3rd chicane, hoping there's not going to be many mistakes. One driver's going to go straight on that 3rd chicane and try and keep himself going. That's Ferraris again, who is struggling massively at the moment. Oh, and his contacts, he rejoins there between Sharp and Mansell as they go on through. Paul Mansell not looking quite like Nigel Mansell through that stage. They get to the hairpin, and then 3 wide off of the hairpin here. It's Guy Leach and co with McMillan, and also looking at it, Thomas Hinds wants it.
Yeah, very, very sloppy first lap. The Scops race we saw last night, an awesome first few laps. Really clean, but yeah, it looks like Taliancic is going to take P3 away from Sean Thompson into the final chicane. A lot of these guys, oh, he's got to slow down. So he's lost that one immediately to Sean Thompson, and that's going to burn him early in this race. That's a lot of positions lost. I'd say at least 10 for Taliancic.
It's a massive loss, and it means that now 3rd position is 5 seconds back after the opening lap from the leaders. Jared Filsell leading. Sean Thompson's gone from 12th all the way up to third in the early stages. Some brilliant work side by side. Oh, McMillan with a huge slide as he tries to deal with Brad Newman. And Newman's going to be down the inside then and comfortably getting the position away. So very good heads-up driving there as they go through. 2 at the breakaway. You wouldn't have expected that at the start, but Sean Thompson third, Kurt Stenberg up into 4th position, Adam Briggs there in 5th, and more side by side. This is Jordan Caruso and Steve Janssen. Janssen now under pressure from Christian Smart, trying to get in on the action. So Janssen moving defensive towards the 3rd chicane, probably the toughest of the 3 to go and get the move done at, due to the nature of the one-line Suitsal corner, but able to hold that in line. And suddenly here comes back Taliancic.
Yeah, certainly a very busy first couple of laps. I wouldn't mind at some point taking a look back and seeing what happened there at turn 1, but we've got Taliancic to the outside here. Not going to be able to do anything that way, but you can get a nice little exit here, which Taliancic has got. So certainly going to be on as they head down towards the chicane. Obviously, Taliancic a little bit out of position after that big slowdown that we mentioned before. So if he can get a run here, he might be able to get the inside line. But the problem with this last chicane is you need a massive overlap to get it done. And I don't think Taliancic is going to have enough, so he thinks better of it.
Yeah, good heads-up driving then from Mr. Michael Taliancic. He knows how to do it. Slow down in front, though. There's a freebie of a position, and it comes from Jordan Caruso over the anti-cut curves. And they say, Burton, lap 2's the worst place. Sanderson finds himself in the wall of champions. He'll be a champion someday. Contact as he went on through. That was with Thomas McMillan. Nowhere to go. You struggle too wide through that section. And McMillan's struggling now as he loses a handful, a boatload of positions now.
Yeah, it got really awkward right after he'd cleared him. He had a big bomb into turn 1 and actually locked the rears, and that got McMillan really unstable, and now it's absolute madness through this second chicane. They seem to have fizzled their way out, but this next left-hander in this 3rd chicane of the lap is very, very easy to pinch a front brake, so you got to be careful when you send it down the inside. Something happened behind those guys just there. I think we might have seen someone grab the wall.
We're okay. I think we're just okay. I think Yuanji Lin is struggling a little bit with technical issues. I think that's what we're seeing as Kazuki Umeshima made his way through as we got through. Or maybe it was Harley Haber, actually, who tagged
Oh,
the
Dyson's just driven straight into the back of Kurt Stenberg coming into the hairpin. The TTR driver's going to run very wide. Kurt has had a rough couple nights in the office in this official series. He's been punched wide in just about every race that he's done. So he's going to be fuming about that one, but hopefully he can put his head down and gain some spots back.
Oh, well, it was always going to be close. Andrew Dyson into the back, and Stenberg's done well to save it. And Dyson there side by side with Zach Hanlon. Going to comfortably hold the position for the moment. You remember, they aren't really stewarded in this race. It is pretty much one for all, some would say. They do have those instant points, 17 to be worried about at the moment as they race on through in this second pack, there or thereabouts, going for 5th on backwards at the moment. And Taliancic opening the door up, trying to get down the inside of the Gone Rogue Motorsports car there of Christian Smart. Can he get a lunge down the inside? He can. Oh, how late were you, Stenberg, going through? He almost got a tap from Taliancic as well. 1 position for Taliancic, looking for a 2nd position if he can. And for the time being, not quite there. Open it up for the inside here into the left-right chicane. And again, Stenberg, good fight from him. He's holding up the pack.
Yeah, Stenny will be recuperating a bit. He would have absolutely cooked those rear tyres in that incident before, and now they run almost too wide. Bit of a block from Stenny, I don't mind it. Nice little block there. But Taliancic is now right in the back of him, and he's been fed off again. And that's going to be a slowdown. That's going to send Stenny positions back, but he's come back on and swiped Taliancic's one. Oh, this is ugly.
That's absolutely silly. Up goes and over Taliancic, and I think he gets a just desserts for that one. No way to defend it. And oh, he almost took out McMillan in the process as well. Taliancic really needs a chill pill, some would say. Let's go and look at something else that is actually sim racing at the moment, and that is the leading battle at the front. Jared Filsell and Wayne Burke are 1 and 2 at the moment, unable to break away from each other right now. Wayne Burke's got a really nice turn of pace here. They're about half a second between each other, and coming out of pit road will be a 1 lap down Harley Haber at the moment, as we see a slowdown penalty potentially, or a nice battle. Thomas Hinz will be looking at. He's actually got it the move done at the moment over Kurt Stenberg, who will be down in a straight line. So Thomas Hinz up the position, but leading 2 at the moment out on track. No worries for them at all. They've got 1 driver 1 lap down Harley Haber, but that won't be what they're concerned about at the moment as they go through.
Looks like we're having something going on with Kazuki Umeshima down at turn 1. Be interesting to get a replay and see what happened there. Looks like he might have just overdone it a little bit coming down. Oh no, okay, so he was too wide for position with Kenneth Latter and Thomas McMillan. And it looks like McMillan's given him a bit of a shove on entry. Kazuki's done really well to get that thing gathered up, but the re-entry was really slow and he seems to have lost a lot of time with the slowdown as well. So punishment upon punishment for Kazuki Umeshima.
Not the first time this race has had to do that as the 5th and 6th place battle continues. This is Andrew Dyson going at it with Zach Hanlon at the moment out on track as they go through the hairpin on lap 5 out of 19. Already a quarter distance scored complete at the moment as Dyson just able to break ever so slightly away at the moment and continue on his run through the field. He started in 14th position. He's already up into position number 5 and it has been just a little bit difficult to try and get those moves through as they have tried to struggle. It looks like a slowdown penalty for Adam Briggs in 4th place. So bang, that's going to hurt. There's 1 position. There's 2 positions. Get up to speed quickly because here comes the 3rd. And that's going to be Steve Janssen trying to go around the outside, trying to get this move done. And you know what? He's got that nose as well. Briggs wasn't wise to it. And that's a good move from Steve Janssen. He picks one up as well.
Yeah, he might have still been trying to get that slowdown cleared on the entry there. So a smart bit of driving from Adam Briggs, who's seen Adam Briggs come quite a long way over this season. He's been driving really, really smart for the most part anyway. So I'm sure he'll recover from that and be able to challenge Steve Janssen as the race goes.
Yeah, he'll look to challenge. He'll look to have a very nice battle out of things. But Steve Janssen has always been a consistent racer ahead of a qualifier. He's a lot better when it comes to race pace out on track as they look to continue their scrap to the 3rd chicane. Not quite close enough there for that move, but still got other great battles. This big train involving the likes of Jamie McKnight and Damian Johnstone and Guy Leach and co. All behind Stenny, who is going one direction and that one being backwards at the moment. And you can listen to the best song ever if you want to. It means absolutely nothing if you cannot get forward momentum. Stenberg is literally driving a scrap heap at the moment, you'd say here, but
yeah, you got a feel for Stenny. He's certainly been beaten and battered in this race, and he's also streaming live on Twitch. So if you want to see the classic Stenny reactions to some of these moments, head over there. But yeah, certainly he's been hit twice on entry, and then that moment with Talianchis coming out of that 2nd chicane was just wildly unnecessary from Mike. So yeah, hopefully he manages to recuperate.
Hanlon
still be happy in P10.
Hanlon's got to slow down going through the final chicane. He was right up behind Dyson, loses 1 position, loses 2, and loses a 2nd to Adam Briggs as well. So that really does shuffle back the positions once again as they still battle P10 on and back at the moment in the big train. In this battle at the moment, Jordan Caruso looking towards the inside, not close enough to go and make that move and make that lunge, but he knows that he's got maybe the better car underneath him right now. Go out there, make that happen. Brad Newman, Jamie McKnight, Guy Leach, Damian Johnstone. They will all want to be in there. They will all want to be on that scrap and fighting as quickly as they can to get themselves up through the positions. Other battles include this one between Kenneth Latter in 19th place and Greg Sharp in 18th. They're already half a second off the leaders in what is 7 laps. But Greg Sharp currently having a very solid run of things at the moment, but has gained 6 places over the course of this race so far.
Yeah, good little run there. I think with Kurt Stenberg, he's got Caruso down the inside, who's going to get that move done fairly well. Stenny's car will be struggling massively in a straight line, and it'll be hurting in terms of mid-corner stability. He's still fairly committed under brakes, quite a quick driver when he wants to be, Kurt, but he's just going to get eaten up because that thing is so broken.
Yeah, it is absolutely hurt and a half and a 3/4 and a whole. Here comes the move down the inside, trying to get it done. Lovely move from Brad Newman. Got alongside the A-pillar, said, I'm committing to this corner. It's mine. I will have it. Now look at Jamie McKnight here. Oh, no room at the end there, my friend, if you're going to try and make it happen. And then behind, there comes the 2 looking to get in. Leach and Johnstone having a nice little scrap of things as well as they go through 1 and 2. Johnstone taking the wide line, trying to keep himself going forward at the moment. So we'll see how that one plays out for him. He'll stay behind by a pretty fair margin at this point in time. Keep an eye back though on Dyson's battle, because Janssen and Briggs have closed back in together. This little scrap starting to look like they are going to try and close at the moment. Briggs, mind you, was about 0.7 of a second quicker that last time by here, Burton, and Sean Thompson in third place. So the podium, I don't think, is out of reach at the moment, despite it being 3 seconds down the road.
Yeah, this race has been really, really odd in terms of how it's played out. We've got a lot of guys in the top 10 who you typically wouldn't see running this far up the grid. So they're really trying to capitalise on those points. A battle I'm looking at the moment is actually between Christian Smart and Thomas Hinz. Christian Smart's car looks somewhat similar to what Kurt Stenberg's does at the moment, and Hinz is attacking pretty hard.
He is attacking hard. He needs to get the draft working, though, on the Casino straight, heading towards that final chicane, which is the prime overtaking opportunity here. Out on track, on the brakes, right and left they go along. And there's going to be no worries at all through here. A good run needed, though, from Hinz to get it done into turn number 1. Has to chase down about a car length and a half at the moment as they head onto the brakes. Not close enough to get that one done just yet, but there is time. And of course, that's the thing about sprint racing. You still get time to go and make the moves. This is around 30 minutes we're looking at for a race. It's not going to be a case of wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You do have a little bit of room to breathe, so to speak, here at Burton.
Yeah, that's it. I want to change the direction of attention once again, actually up to our lead battle. I'm super impressed at the moment with Wayne Burke. The last 2 laps he's had Jared Filsell's measure, and Jared obviously a bit of a legend when it comes to racing this car in this game. He's won several Scops titles and is very quick at Montreal, so Burke's doing an awesome job with pulling a number on Jared.
Well, 3 straight at Montreal. The draft will be helping. He very nearly fell outside of 1 second compared to Jared Filsell in the number 1 car, but the number 6 of Wayne Burke has been just slowly working the car back again and again and again, and every 10th of a second matters when it comes to this series. They go through the final chicane. You can see how aggressive Jared Filsell is through that section as he tries to find a breakaway, as there's about 3 grid stalls between them as they go over the start-finish line. Gap this time is just 1,000, and they match times identically. That just shows you how much of an equal these two are, Burton.
So we take a look now at the battle for P13 between Jamie McKnight and Guy Leach. 2 of the older drivers in the field and sort of becoming veterans, especially Guy Leach, but no doubt they're still very quick. Bit of a mistake from Leachy there coming off the chicane, just dragged the thing against the wall. Both of these guys are catching Kurt Stenberg quite quickly, so not only are they trying to race each other, but they're trying to put numbers down to catch the struggling Kurt Stenberg.
They certainly are, and there's also the battle behind. Kenneth Latter's got a wing mirrors full of Kazuki Umeshima, which would be very scary for the Mark 1 driver. Little wiggle coming up of the power there in through turn 2 and looking towards 3 and 4. This chicane, the Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton chicane as you go through, and Umeshima not quite there as we got some side-by-side going on, and that's Thomas Hinz going at it with Christian Smart, and Smart ultimately tried to had the position actually, but Hinz was going to come straight back and try and steal it around the outside of turn 6. You don't often hear that one happening, and he got it done, move completed, and now Thomas Hinz, he's got to try and really work hard as they're now fighting in front. Briggs and Janssen and Dyson all there. Big wiggle then on the power from Steve Janssen, and suddenly Adam Briggs has got a freebie under his belt.
Yeah, he's going to have that car cleared by the chicane, I think, without a doubt there. So that's P5 for Adam Briggs. Quite a good drive tonight so far from Briggs. He's, as usual, done pretty well, but Steve Janssen is actually up from 16th as well. So a lot of these guys putting on really, really good shows and just showing what attrition means here at Montreal.
Yep, they certainly are showing what attrition means at the moment. Briggs looking to try and break away to Andrew Dyson, and he's going to have a little slide through turn number 1, and on the back now is Zach Hanlon, who had the bit between his teeth over the last lap, as Guy Leach has gone around then in the background. Not good for Guy. He'll have to try and really work hard. Final corner is where it has happened, and did he run into troubles with Damien Johnstone? Got himself close to the wall of champions. He actually hit it, and then Johnstone's running to the back of him, really misjudging the pace that Guy Leach had coming off of that section. And you have to say, Guy Leach is very, very lucky that he has not run into anybody else through that section.
Yeah, that's actually quite a common mistake there. That chicane is so committed. I remember back in the 2018 Scops Enduro we had a very similar incident between Jared Filsell and Ian Ford at the time, I think. Really easy mistake to make. So we can't go too hard on Damien there, but yeah, really unfortunate for Guy Leach. That's going to be pretty much his race done because he's taken so long to get that thing straightened back up.
It's been 11 great laps at the front of the field, but I have a sneaking suspicion that we might have to just wave the white flag of surrender at the moment, because Jared Filsell, I think, very nearly is going to break 1 second, which I think is going to be a proverbial marker. It's 9:10, so he's just still in there at the moment as they continue to go on. We're looking at Greg Sharp, though, here out on track here in the number 22 position, I do believe, at this point in time. They are battling in front, though. James Scott trying to get some points back here against Paul Mansell at the moment in the number 26 machine. So we'll see how this one goes. James Scott not really in position to go through. You can try and recover as much as you want, but I think that James Scott knows better than anybody else at the moment here, Burton, that he's got drop rounds, and I think he may just have to dabble into the bank with one of them here today.
Yeah, well, the truth is, Sperry, as we see, Greg Sharp was actually a bit of a self-spin, and he's been collected by Kazuki Umeshima, as well as someone else there, I think Kenneth Latta. So a big shame for those guys. But with James Scott, Harley Haber is completely out of it. He's had to pit for repairs, and with the drop rounds already starting to count, I don't think this race is really going to mean anything for either of these guys. I don't think James is going to gain any points out of it. This will definitely be one of his worst results for the year. So I think at this point, he's just fighting to keep his iRating.
Yeah, well, iRating and safety rating are good reasons as any to go out there and race and make sure that the license feels very nice. You race towards one of the fabled 10K iRatings, which a couple of drivers have been managing to pull off over the last couple of seasons on the road. We haven't seen a 10K Supercars driver, really, I think is the way we have to say. It's been a lot more difficult in the straight to fields. Haven't quite been there for that. But here comes Adam Briggs on Andrew Dyson for 4th position to get back the position he lost a little time ago. Looks to the inside. Oh, there was no little bit of fight there from Andrew Dyson. He let him have that very, very early on the straight.
Yeah, as I say, I think going into that last chicane, it's a bit of a life and death sort of decision. You've got to, it's a bit like turn 8 at Adelaide that they talk about in the real Supercar series. You kind of got to make sure you go through their single file, and Andrew Dyson will be stoked with the fact that he's come from 14th to 5th in this race, and I think maybe just a bit of risk mitigation.
Well, we've got a replay up on screen as Christian Smart, in the meantime, gets contact from Jordan Caruso. This is Scott O'Keefe, who's gone around for a little bit of an oopsie-daisy at the moment. So we'll see exactly what's happened to him in the Gone Road car. There's a blown engine that we've seen, so Kaboom Stick not quite worked out for him. I've just kept an eye out on Caruso. He's really struggling. I think he may have just had a slowdown penalty, potentially, through turn 3. So that's going to be him just going too aggressive then. Jordan Caruso going to drop back, and this is Damien Johnstone on replay here we're staying on with, because this is the scrap in front. Oh, don't tell me that's the Trans-Tasman car. Yeah. That's Stenny around again.
Yeah, Stenny's been turned again. I have to say the attrition rate's been fairly high tonight. We've obviously got the news today that Holden is no longer going to exist, but I think if this was real, they just about would have kept him in business for spare parts, Barry.
I think they would have done, and I think that with the scrap dealerships that will be coming along, I think they'll make a pretty penny off of all of these Holdens that will be running themselves into a lot of issues. But stay on the battles that are going on. We've not got long to go in this race. We've got 5 laps the next time they cross the start-finish line, and Wayne Burke has had nothing now for Jared Filsell. It's suddenly just ramped up the gap over to what is 1.7 seconds at the moment on track. Good news is they've got 17 seconds back to 3rd place. The bad news is the race victory for Wayne Burke is just fallen out of reach in that Jared Filsell fashion. He keeps you in range, almost there with a fell stinger for about 15 laps or so, or 10 laps, and then he just breaks the spirit ever so slightly with the way he races.
That's it, but we don't want to call it too soon, Sperry. This track can be seriously punishing with slowdowns, and to be as fast as Jared, every single lap you're using that technique to push the boundaries with it, and one slowdown can completely change this race. So we won't call it over till it's over, but certainly Jared Filsell, Mr. Consistent, certainly looking the goods at the moment.
He certainly is looking like he's got all his ducks in a row at the moment. Not over for the podium, though. The gap between Thompson and Briggs is down to 2.2 seconds at the moment out on track and closing. So Thompson's got to be really alert. You've got to be more alert than that, Sean, as he struggles through the hairpin ever so slightly to put the power down. So that won't be too much of a help. Briggs is thinking, well, podium could definitely be in the offing. Other battle on track, smart, under pressure. It's Brad Newman.
Yeah, Brad Newman, a guy we've seen race this car quite a bit this season. It's his first time here at Montreal in the new car. He was explaining to me earlier when I spoke to him before the broadcast. I think he'll be pretty happy to have come from 20th to 10th, but Christian Smart there, that car looking very, very damaged. I'm sure he wouldn't mind getting another.
Well, one more position. Well, what's going to hurt in terms of that as they look to continue? Gap between Thompson and Briggs has come down by 0.8 of a second over that last lap. Not close enough as Newman into turn number 1. You talk about it, Thompson 38.1 last time by. Adam Briggs 37.2. 0.9 of a second chopped off. And Sean Thompson is doing the one thing I think all drivers, I'd say, guiltily do from time to time on occasion. Look back in your mirrors, start driving from your rear view.
Yeah, well, as you said, Adam Briggs 0.9 of a second faster last time by, so that rear view is going to start getting bigger and bigger for Sean Thompson. But again, Sean, one of these guys who's sort of profited from the early crashes and is just having a really, really good night in the office. To be P3 in the main soft will be a big, big thing for Sean Thompson. Briggs has been up there once or twice already this season, but fairly new for Sean. So I think even if he loses that 4th place, if he can stay in the top 5, he's going to be stoked with that result.
Side by side, Kazuki Mishima, Kurt Stenberg up into the 3rd chicane. On the brakes they go. Kazuki on the inside. No worries at all about that one. That was a comfortable overtake come at the end. So no worries about that one. Not one at all. It seems now the gap has really kicked off the front of the field. 3.8 seconds now. It was a poor lap before last from Wayne Burke. He lost a second and a half on that one. And as such, any hope that he had of picking up a race win is very much over at this point in time. Gap 2nd and 3rd has come down. It's come down by not as much. 0.4 of a second now for Adam Briggs. He gets himself within 1 second, and now the alarm bells will start to ring. 4 laps to hold it in defense. We get a nice little ooh as we got a blown engine out on track, and that's Scotty McQueen, who's going to look a little bit like Lightning McQueen in Cars 1 at the moment as he goes through.
That actually is more complicated than just a blown engine. I wouldn't mind seeing a replay of that. That started between Thomas McMillan and Harley Haber. Those two are way out of this race, and it looks like they've come together. McMillan just seemed to sideswipe Harley for no reason, and there seems to have been quite a significant crash after that, and that's sort of got Scotty McQueen involved as well, who just drove through it at full tilt, days of thunder spec, and that's led to him having a blown engine.
I'm going to be very cautious about calling it a sideswipe. I just want to see if it is. I think they just ran each other very close through a right-hand kink, and they've just run into each other's side trying to say, oh, well, we've got quite a bit of history. I don't like you, you don't like me. And they just ran into each other ever so slightly there. I think Harley is the innocent bystander. I think McMillan, especially with the history that was there, had no reason to be that close, but I wouldn't have said that was a malicious, intentive move.
Oh, I don't know. It just seems very unnecessary. You know, McMillan's still racing for the lead lap. Harley's got massive damage and his lap's down. But we're just looking now at a bit of side-by-side action between one of the Ratu cars and Zach Hanlon. Bit of bumping at the apex, but good move by Zach Hanlon. Gets it done.
Yeah, very nice move from Hanlon. He'll be happy with that one as he looks to pick up a little bit more as he goes on through. It's on for the podium, though, at the moment. And actually, you have to say, it is really close now. Sean Thompson looking backwards in the mirrors with a couple of laps to go, plus one more, making it a few. And he's going to try and pick up this run. He's all over the back, heading towards turn 6, but it's well defended there by Sean Thompson. Every apex now has to be defended. Get more people in the battle, Sean. Need to bring Andrew Dyson and Steve Jansen in, but he struggles with power off of the exit, and suddenly Briggs is looking for the outside of the 3rd chicane. here, looking at turns 8, turns 9, not a place you get it done normally, has to be defended. Well defended by Sean Thompson as he now looks behind again, the hairpin, a prime place to make the move.
Yeah, this track is actually a really easy track to defend at because most of the corners go one way and then the other. It's sort of impossible to get an over-under, but he's driven that deep, and I think Brixie's going to get it for free.
Oh, no, he's not. Bang, round he goes, and Sean Thompson's going to have to continue. Andrew Dyson's going to jump for the podium. Oh, there's no gap there! Ryan Hunter-Ray, who are you? Oh, my goodness me. How have they held that together? All 4 tyres on the grass. Still going, more contact. Into the wall goes Dyson as he goes on through. This has been manic for a sim race. I haven't seen anything like this in a very long time as Thompson able to survive for the moment. Dyson behind will be going, well, what was that all about? Gets in the mirrors and says, well, do I still have steering damage at all? 2 laps to go. Thompson is fighting with everything he's got.
As we get a modem replay of that one, it's certainly been ugly tonight. Not the best of moments. It started with Sean Thompson running wide, Briggsy getting the run, and there was a bit of awkward contact on exit there. I think it's hard to appoint blame on anyone for that one. It was a bit tricky, but then here comes Dyson down the inside, and they're bumping and bashing down the whole straight. That was a crash that seemed to last for like 500 meters. No idea how neither of these 3 ended up sort of backwards.
Well, it was unlimited battling power. It seemed like there was a Dyson sphere on Andrew Dyson's car as he looked to try and have his battlers. Look at this behind Zach Hanlon, Tins and Smarts and Newman and Briggs and Caruso. And they've only got a lap and a half to go out there and deal with this battle. So this is going to be very, very interesting to see how this is going to go. White flag coming, though, for Jared Filsell. He will have just a lap to go in this race, a race that he has had pretty much no issues apart from turn number 1, really. Out on track, he made the mistake. Everyone funneled through as they all battled, as Janssen trying to put the pressure on as they go through and have their little scraps, as well as side by side. This is Caruso trying to get it done on Adam Briggs, and Briggs may have a bit of damage there. That's a comfortable move down at the hairpin. You're not going to argue against that one. Now you use the draft in this pack to go on. Hinsey thinking about 6th place here on Zach Hanlon, who's defended it well here on the inside, but there's the overspeed, not quite enough. Bang! Into the fence. Straight on, you're going to go, Hanlon. It's going to get a tap and a slowdown penalty. Hins as well. No way to stop that one for Christian Smart as they go through. This is going to change absolutely everything as they go towards turn number 1, as Hinsey is going to be under pressure now from Brad Newman, trying to pick up another position. Not going to get through. Thompson now is around at turn number 2 as well, and he spun it after maybe a bit of contact there from Andrew Dyson, potentially. Looking down the inside, Caruso now has gone around. You can't keep up with this stuff as well as he's gone through. So Caruso, what on earth has happened to him as he's gone through? Has he made contact with Smart as he's gone on through? We'll get a replay of the last lap as they go through. Hanlon's gone and turned Caruso around, so that's not good at all. Caruso's tried to keep himself going forward. So now who's where at this point? Dyson's fighting for the podium with Janssen, and Dyson's got to slow down all of a sudden. Janssen's going to find his way through. No dramas at all, though, for Jared Filsell. And why wouldn't he? It's been absolutely madness here today, but he's been the coolest head in the ranch when the guns have been firing off at every single corner. Jared Filsell will come to the line and win at Montreal.
Yeah, great drive from Jared there. Obviously a bit sad not to see Jared there in Scops last night, but it was awesome that he put on a show for us here on the Monday night series. Wayne Burke as well, really smart drive. Obviously couldn't quite take it to Jared in the end, but just to run home in second to a name like that is an awesome job.
Yeah, some brilliant racing as they go through, and it will be Andrew Dyson struggling his way home. He redresses to Sean Thompson come the end. So Steve Janssen, who started all the way back in 16th place today on the second half of the 8th row, he'll pick up a podium. Somehow, he will pick up a podium. That has been how mad this race has been, and I think drivers need to learn a little bit of a thing called respect to other drivers for the second half, or for more racing that will go on into next week. I'm sure an inquiry will have to be made. They are going to fight to the line. Smart is going to be struggling on power. He's got nothing left. Denny's going to get him. Kenneth Latter is not going to get him as they go through. And let's get a last lap replay. Burton, talk us through it, because I can't make heads or tails of this.
So if we can just go back to that first bit again there, it sort of all started with, I think that's Brad Newman getting into the back of Christian Smart. It was a little bit of an awkward sort of Verstappen, Ricardo, Baku 2018 sort of deal they had going there. They went one way, they went the other, and Brad just clean bowled Christian Smart in front of him. And that sent him straight through the chicane and right into the side of a very unsuspecting Zach Hanlon there. Great bit of driving from Hinsey, actually, to see it all coming and actually get out of the steering to avoid it. But that's how it started, and then it got messy down at turn 2 once again while all these guys were recovering, clearing slowdowns, all that sort of stuff. There was a lot of nose-to-tail contact as we see the guys coming down now to turn 1. We had the 15 car recovering, but as they come down at this hairpin, it was just nose-to-tail, 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 and that Logitech car just got turned all the way around.
It happens just as quickly as that, as they went on through. So we'll get a look at this from Thompson. They can see Dyson running into the back of him, spinning, and Dyson feeling guilty about that, turning a driver for a podium. He wouldn't want a podium that way, so he decided to redress the positions back to Sean Thompson, and which he did have no obligation to do so as he went through. Classified results, though, this is how it's going to be. Jared Filsell picks up the win, 30 minutes, 34 seconds. He wins by 6.6 in the end, a canter to victory over Wayne Burke. Steve Janssen comes home with the podium. Sean Thompson comes home 4th after the redress from Andrew Dyson. 5th position would go to, 6th position would go to Thomas Hinz after starting 15th. Brad Newman, 20th, up to 7th, with Zach Hanlon coming home in 8th. Adam Briggs up as high as 3rd at one point, ends up with 9th place overall. And Jamie McKnight from 23rd on the grid shows why he's got a number 9 next to his name. He navigates traffic and battles very well. He gets a top 10.
Yeah, and over the page we go. P11, one of the hard luck stories for tonight, I think. Kazumiki Umashima, it all went downhill for him down at turn 1 when he was stuck in that bit of a 3-wide melee and came off worse there. But managed to recover to P11, but Jordan Caruso, P12. Kurt Stenberg, I think, probably the guy tonight who got the hardest end of the longest stick in P13, with Kenneth Latta driving a race to P14, and Wayne Sanderson, someone we didn't really talk much about, in 15th. Someone who I think drove really well tonight. Once again, James Scott had an absolute shocking first lap, and I think he was as low as sort of 25th at one point, and he's managed to recover that car up to P16. Thomas McMillan in 17th, Yuaxi Lin in P18, Christian Smart 19th, and Paul Mansell P20, first car lap down.
Well, you start to see drivers who had bad days here today. Damian Johnstone, Harley Haber. The championship now was a big, big run, but turn 2, the big disaster for Haber. Guy Leach and Scotty McQueen for struggling towards the end. Greg Sharp, Scott O'Keefe, Dom Ferraris, Michael Taliancic, and Bo Cattell. All these drivers struggling as they got all themselves going through. It was a mad, mad race. We expected it to be so with a 29-car grid. And ultimately, that is how it ends up. But Burton, 1 week's time, Mo Sport, a track which these drivers know very well, a fantastic track in these Australian touring cars, these V8 supercars. They know just how brilliant that track can be in terms of a high-speed battle pack train.
Yeah, that's certainly right, Sperry, but I think tonight really needs to be a lesson for these guys. Next week and the week after are our championship weeks of this season, and I think the driving standard was pretty poor tonight. A lot of these guys are going to have to focus because Mosport is an extremely high-risk track. Now on these new supercars, it's our first time going there on the V7 tyre. And you know what it's like, Sperry. You drop one wheel at a track like this and it can just trigger a massive shunt. We saw that in V8 Scops last year with a 35-car pile-up on the first lap coming out of turn 1. So I think a lot of these guys need to calm down and just think about next week and think about the end of their season.
I think they certainly need to, and they will think about it all week as they will wait for 1 week's time, the battling that will go on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure that you check that out. But, of course, a massive thanks to Motum Simulations, who sponsor the replays here at SimSpeed TV. From Jay Kennedy on the cameras, from Jake Burton to my right-hand side, I've been Jake Sperry. It has been Jared Filsell who dominates proceedings and walks away to a canter, but the madness at Montreal ends up very much like Malice at the Palace. Drivers swinging helmets all around each other and saying, no, you're at fault. No, you're at fault. They need cooler heads to prevail when they head up to a different Canadian circuit at Mosport.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my god.